This is a video by request from one of my clients asking me to explain exactly how to come down to the mat in the way that we try to at the beginning of every class. So that said, there are two ways to come down. Three ways. You could just bring yourself down, use your hands, whatever, or you could try something a little bit more challenging. The first one is a little bit easier. So you're going to stand in the middle of the mat, heels together, toes apart, Pilates V. You're going to cross your arms, or you could have your hands on your hips, your arms out in front of you. There are variations, but normally in my classes I like to do this. Why? Because you can press down with your top hand, press up with your bottom hand, and turn your arms on and your shoulder girdle on. Pull that feeling down into your ribs. Pull your belly in and up to meet that feeling of your shoulder girdle coming down, and lengthen it through the crown of the head. Now we're going to bring the right foot behind you, and you're going to be resting on the top of the foot. Knees are going to be able to bend out to the side. So scooping your belly, inhaling, you're going to bend out to the side, and you're trying to lie yourself down on that back shin. There you go. That's pretty easy. So now you're back on your shin, and now you're going to try to sit down, not sticking your bum out, but instead trying to maybe curl the pelvis a little bit. Feel your belly working. Sit down behind that heel, and then put your feet in front of you, in line with your hip bones, so that you can then roll down through your spine. And at this point, press down, press up, pull your shoulders down, roll as slowly as you can, feeling each vertebra connecting down onto the mat sequentially. There you go, and you're down, and you can stretch yourself out in preparation for the next exercise. The variation that's the next hardest, which I teach, or I try to have people doing from the beginning, because it's nice to practice from the beginning, because you'll get there quicker. So a bit harder because you're crisscrossing your body, and anytime we cross over, you kind of confuse your brain, and you're also making yourself, your center of gravity, much finer, and you're bringing it all into the center, so you're not as spread out, if that makes sense. So you're going to stand a little bit to the right of the center of your mat, and a little bit further back from the front edge, so that when you cross, what you're going to do is you're going to be crossing your right foot in front of your left, so you're crisscrossed, and then you should be about in the center of your mat. I'm not quite in the center, I might go a little bit over there. And then you're in this kind of like divided Pilates V, so that your knees can still bend out to the side and you don't get caught up. So if this front foot is too close to your back foot, I've got a really spongy mat here, so it's really hard to balance. If you're too close, then you tend to get caught up as you bend your knees, and your shin will hit the calf of the other leg. So you want to have this foot in front enough so that you have clearance. So that's it again. So you stand a little bit to the right, a little bit back of the front edge of the mat. Cossack your arms, right on top or left on top of right, opposites, and then right foot crosses in front of left, and you're on the ball of that foot. And then you're going to bend your knees, thinking still, scooping the belly, pulling your shoulders down, reaching up through the crown of the head. You're going to bend your knees out to the side, trying to keep that back heel down as long as you can, and balancing, because now you're crisscrossed. It's much harder. And you're going to try not to stick your bum out and do this, because you're not really coming down. You're coming down with your upper body, but your knees aren't bending. You're not really coming down with your lower body, so it's going to be harder. So instead, you're going to think, bend the knees out to the side, keep your spine nice and straight. That back heel is going to lift up at some point, but you're trying to stretch your Achilles as much as you can. Curl the pelvis, and then sit down. Oh, that was a little bit faster than maybe I could have done it. And then hopefully you're in the middle of your mat. I'm a little bit off to the left. So now your feet are going to be in line with your hip joint again, and again you're going to roll down slowly through the spine, taking your time, and you can stretch yourself out. So, just to review that one more time, the options are start in the middle of your mat, close to the front edge, cross left over right, bring your right foot behind you so you're on the top of the back foot, and you're going to bend your knees and lower yourself down onto that shin. Sit down behind your heel, feet in front of you, roll down. Other version is going to be stand a little bit further back from the front edge, a little bit to the right, crisscross your arms again, Cossack, left on top of right, cross right in front of left, keep that heel lifted in the front, keep that heel down as long as you can in the back as you bend your knees, scoop in your belly, and then that heel's going to come up at some point. You're going to try and keep, see, I'm too close with my feet, so I've got to be a little bit further forward in front, otherwise I'm getting caught up. Ooh, sitting down, heels, feet in front of you, and still I keep on ending up getting a little bit to the left, but that's the vision. So then your feet are going to be at the front edge of the mat, and you're going to roll yourself down, and then stretch yourself out down the mat. So I hope that makes sense. Then at the end of your series, your Pilates mat series, you have your seal coming into play. And in seal, you have the opportunity to come up the way you came down by crossing your ankles. So that's that advanced position that we just did, but in reverse. And so for that, you need probably a little bit of momentum to begin with. It's pretty tricky to come up without momentum. Not impossible though. So in your seal position, bottom of the feet together, knees out to the side, hands at your heart center, dive your hands down through, hold onto your feet, and just remember your seal. So you're going to roll back and forth on your spine, trying to be straight, trying to roll evenly. And then when you feel like it, try to get your mind into the game, get some momentum, cross your ankles, and stand up. So another thing that helps with doing this kind of stuff is being able to do a squat. And I've been practicing doing a squat. Hard to do a squat on this. But if you go onto your floor or hard surface, a real squat, get someplace where you can see me, a real squat, and anatomically your feet might be turned out, they might be straight ahead, they might be right underneath your hips, they might be a little bit wider. It all depends on the hip opening that you're born with anatomically, so everyone's squat might be different, but you should be able to be down in a squat with your knees above your ankles, and you should be able to just hang out like this and not be too difficult. And that is pretty difficult for a lot of people. And then you should be able to come up and go back down and come back up and go back down and come back up, and trying then to keep your spine nice and straight, curl your pelvis, come back up. So that's really helpful for this kind of work, coming down and coming back up. So in order to get to that point, a little trick would be to practice your squats by doing it kind of incrementally, starting out with your heels lifted. So you might want to get a yoga mat and fold it up on itself, or find a thin pillow, or it depends on where you start, where your squat's going to be. So this is going to be really helpful. You're going to try and find what's that lift that you need in your heels so you can hang out in this position with your knees over your ankles, and then hang out in that position for a while and really feel the stretch and really stretch out your Achilles. Another thing is to wear flat shoes, really flat shoes, not any kind of heel whatsoever. That's what we're supposed to be wearing as humans. That's what our bodies are naturally anatomically made to be or to have. No heel. So if you have a heel, just imagine it. You've given yourself a little bit of lift, and that's going to shorten your Achilles, and it's actually going to shorten all the muscles at the back of your legs. And in so doing, you take out your ability to do a natural squat. And that affects your hips as well. So really good for hip health, pelvis health, health of the entire body to be able to do a squat. So just practice that and ask me any more questions and I can give you more tips.